All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, here to talk about the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling. We talk about all the action inside and outside of the ring, backstage curtain calls, rumors, drama, and updates. We talk about, inactive statuses, injury updates. We talk about contract negotiations, extensions, and new signings. We talk about WWE to AEW, to Ring of Honor, to TNA. If it makes major news in the world of professional wrestling, we talk about it here on this show, 1010%. So make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow the show so you guys can get the notifications whenever your boy E here goes live to talk about some professional wrestling. All right, just going to reflect on what we talked about right quick. We had our WWE Monday Night Raw recap. We had our NXT review. We talked about AEW's Winter is Coming. And we also talked about Rey Mysterio. We got a birthday boy today, turning 50 years old on December 11th of 2025. We got my boy Rey Mysterio, one of the best Lucha Libre wrestlers to ever grace God's green earth. And now, without further ado, we're going to talk about some of those iconic matches. Like I said, in terms of iconic matches, I might not be as old or maybe that intertwined into, wrestling history that much. I know, no one's ever perfect. No one's ever that actual perfect. These are just a couple of matches that, whether it was my tenure or matches that I've seen in the past that I'm like, oh my God, those definitely one of Rey Mysterio's best matches. And there's a couple of them probably that I left off, and I apologize. Let's go and dig on into it. All right, we got with Billy Kidman. They used to be, tag team partners in WCW with Conan, Juventud Guerrero, Eddie Guerrero. They used to be the Filthy Animals. Teaming up with Billy Kidman, going up against the world's greatest tag team for the WWE Tag Team titles at Vengeance of 2003. This was a good match. This was a great match. It was good because you had the two best cruiserweights that WCW literally had. Billy Kidman was a huge part of the cruiserweight division in WCW. Highly underrated. Well, of course, there's a lot of WCW wrestlers that got thrown under the bus when WWE bought him out. But Billy Kidman stayed, and his amazing work inside the ring, as well as Rey Mysterio, they were able to pick up a title match going up against Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin, one of the world's greatest tag team. They lost the bout, but overall, it was kind of cool to kind of see them come back together. I think that at that time there was a lot of wrestling fans that were like, who the hell is this Billy Kidman guy? Rey Mysterio, obviously an established person himself. Overall, you thought that this was going to be a nice way for Billy Kidman to kind of make his way into that, maybe like a mid-card kind of center in terms of WWE, and it never really came through. And that's a damn shame because Billy Kidman was so gifted inside WCW. I think he does stuff backstage with WWF. WWE. Sorry, excuse me. I think a couple years ago I saw when a fight breaks out, and then you see Jamie Noble and Jason Jordan and a lot of former WWE superstars. I think I saw Billy Kidman. I'm not too sure. But definitely one of these matches. This match was great because you kind of got a little taste of the Filthy Animals coming back together. Next, we have Rey Mysterio taking on Jack Swagger for the world title at Money in the Bank in 2010. Jack Swagger, I gotta be honest, he was all right. Wasn't my favorite superstar. He was, in my opinion, I thought he was a little poorly booked. This was his one-on-one rematch after losing the title to Rey Mysterio in a fatal four-way match. Obviously, WWE wanted to ultimately kind of recreate what happened with Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle with the ankle lock, where Eddie untied his shoe to kind of get the stronghold over Kurt Angle with the surprise win. And then that's the same thing what happened with Rey Mysterio. He untied his boot, and then when Jack Swagger was trying to hit that ankle lock, trying to get him to tap out, the boot fell off, and then he was able to hit an unexpected Hurricane Rana for the 1-2-3 to retain that world title. So I thought that was pretty awesome. Next, we got John Morrison. Rey Mysterio taking on John Morrison for the WWE Intercontinental Championship match on an episode of SmackDown in 2009. Rey Mysterio was suspended for violating the wellness policy and was forced to drop the Intercontinental Championship. He was able to get that rematch. Ultimately, was not able to kind of pick up the dub. But this was a good match because John Morrison, once when WWE was using him right, Johnny Nitro. It's kind of crazy how then he came back to WWE, did a stint with the Miz, and didn't really work out as well. Ended up going to I think it's TNA. I think he's not John Morrison. Johnny. Oh God, I can't believe I can't remember his name. Damn it. I can't think of his name right now because I don't think he's John Morrison right now. I don't think so. But he's still in wrestling, which is good because he's a gifted wrestler. But this match was definitely one of the most iconic matches in my opinion, because at the time you had John Morrison that was getting pushed so well, and then you had Rey Mysterio. Obviously, he's freaking Rey Mysterio, and then of course with the handshake thing. I always love matches where at the end of the match they kind of give each other a handshake. I like that. Rey Mysterio taking on Dominic Mysterio, WrestleMania 39. The slap heard all around the world, father and son going at it. You could look at this match anyway from different angles. But this was like I was talking about in the previous segment, kind of like a way for Rey Mysterio to pass the torch on to his son, kind of get him involved, not just being that guy that it's like, oh, hey, that's just Rey Mysterio's son. That's just Rey Mysterio's son. Now he actually has an identity inside the world of professional wrestling in WWE, mostly because of this feud he had with his father, Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio definitely, he revealed backstage in an interview, I think it was with Sports Illustrated, I'm not too sure, that he was happy once when he's able to do things with his friends and his family, he's able to kind of help out his son along the way, established himself as the real deal inside inside wrestling. That's good. So it's nice kind of having chemistry with somebody. Obviously that's his freaking son, so they're gonna have great chemistry, and it really showed on WrestleMania 39. So this is definitely one of the matches that I liked. Everybody loved the slapping. Everybody once when I think his mom slapped him too, I think so, and it was it was actually it was kind of cool. Next we have Rey Mysterio going up against Chris Jericho for the WWE Intercontinental Championship, Judgment Day 2009. Rey Mysterio's WWE Intercontinental title reigns don't really come up inside accolades in terms of Rey Mysterio, but him and Jericho had a couple of good matches, had some great matches. Obviously, Chris Jericho, he's also professional wrestling. He's professional wrestling. What is that? Honor. He's royalty. He's royalty. You gotta love and respect Chris Jericho. Whenever he was inside the Intercontinental Championship picture, a lot of fans paid more attention. And then him with Rey Mysterio just was a huge recipe for success. And it turned out to be pretty damn good because you had Chris Jericho, who could literally go from like a babyface to like the world's greatest heel. And then of course Rey Mysterio, always been a babyface. So I thought, that was pretty cool. Rey Mysterio takes on Eddie Guerrero in a ladder match to decide who gets custody of Dom in a ladder match at SummerSlam 2005. Obviously before Eddie passed away, a couple of months before, I think, sad. It just, it sucks, obviously. This is a storyline that wouldn't really work on the wrestling spectrum. But since it was done with Eddie and it was done with Rey, and that they're so gifted when they're together. They had a great chemistry, obviously. Friends since ECW, having a great match that they had at Halloween Havoc in 1986, I think it was 1986, 1997. Sorry, excuse me. It was just great. Like I said, a little bittersweet because of what happened with Eddie, but overall, great match. It was a good match. Winning his first title, he teamed with Edge. They were able to kind of beat out Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit in a 2 out of 3 falls match, 2-1, November 7th, 2002. So it was kind of cool to kind of see that tag team finals win over, established singles, main event stars like Chris Benoit was, like Kurt Angle. And, it's kind of cool to see Rey Mysterio win a belt, his first ever belt in WWE. It's something I alluded to before. We had Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero fighting at Halloween Havoc in WCW 1997. More or less just a huge, building up toward their chemistry and stuff like that. Like I said, kind of sad. When I don't know why whenever, remembering the legacy that Eddie Guerrero left is, pretty awesome. Prince Puma and Rey Mysterio take each other in Lucha Underground in 2016. Definitely a good match. I watched it today when I was doing research, and I was like, damn, you kind of have, Ricochet. If you don't know who Prince Puma was, it was Ricochet. You had the Prince going up against the King of Lucha Libre, and it was, the match lived up to the expectations. Next, we have Psychosis taking on Rey Mysterio in the ECW 1995. This match really did so much wonders for not just ECW, for a lot of the Latino market, a lot of Lucha Libre superstars that were trying to fight and claw their way into wrestling promotions that was happening, here in the States. Wrestling organizations like WCW, they paid close attention to this because as soon as this match happened, they brought a lot of Lucha Libre to WCW. And, it was great for WCW. You had a lot of great superstars. And, when you had that match, a classic match between Rey Mysterio Jr. and Psychosis, obviously nothing but good things can happen from it. So, going over a lot of, Rey Mysterio iconic matches, obviously. Love, respect, my man. And once again, happy birthday to the WWE Hall of Famer. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC Sports Network, to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast. That is it for me today. I'm going to go watch some Dynamite, maybe eat maybe snack on some dinner a little bit. I had a little bit, but, I always get off around like 7, and then I'm like trying to do this real fast, but it turned out to be pretty cool. We always have some great shows. So thank you for those who participated in the chat. Always appreciate. And thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast. Remember to follow us on Twitter /X, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook for more content and updates. Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Also, if I've not made you a wrestling fan by now, we got, college football with my man Tommy with the GSMC College Football Podcast, 2 NFL podcasts, one with my boy Kenneth, the GSMC Football Podcast, one with my boy Manny, the Chip Shot Football Podcast, and of course, in terms of talking football, you always got to worry about fantasy. Find out your stardoms, find out your sit-ups, find out who to pick up off the waiver wire. Make your football fantasy team, into a WWE champion by watching Chris Shepard's GSMC Fantasy Sports Podcast. Don't miss that. We got all around sports with my man Nelson with the GSMC Sports Podcast and with Jeremy Sports by GSMC. Stay tuned for Emran's awesome GSMC Deadball Podcast, the man with the hottest takes, one of the most knowledgeable men about basketball, football, you name it, in terms of anything soccer as well. My man has it on this podcast. Make sure you guys stay tuned. That's it for me. Hope you guys had an amazing time. Hope you guys had a beautiful Wednesday. You yourself stay beautiful, but most importantly, love you.